better tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You hear with some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to
Good evening, Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Good evening to our friends and family. I see you, girl, first of the line. Good evening to our friends and family near and far. It's good to be back with you for another episode of Sabrina Speaks. Yes, we're Voices of the Islands, conversations for the world, and the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. I am Sabrina. For those of you joining me for the first time, we're broadcasting from the beautiful Cayman Islands. And wherever you're tuning in from tonight, driving home, settling in with the kids, or maybe you're just finishing up work, or for some of you who were rambling in some cow bush yesterday looking for mangoes, I see you. Maybe you're just taking a moment for yourself. I'm grateful that you are here with me. That's what you should have done. Send me some pictures of those beautiful mangoes that you were out there. You know exactly who I'm talking to. But tonight's episode of Sabrina Speaks is one of those important ones. Yes, and it happened today, and I thought it was only fitting for me to just keep abreast with what's happening around us, keeping it real and breaking it down for you, because we're going to go into explaining about Finance Committee. The reason why I went here is because I got one question, and I'm quite sure if that question came to me directly about today's sitting, that prompt this whole episode was, did they just approve budget the other day? They only 6 months into their budget. I said, ay. I said, okay. So I did a 360 and I said, you know what? Or a 180, whatever you call it. I said, you know what? Just let me break it down for you. I said, tune in at 5 o'clock. Let me break it down for you, because I said, if you've asked that question, and I was not able to listen to all of the Finance Committee meeting. I said, but I'll break it down for you. And I said, let's do an episode on that, what it is, why it matters, and why our government is back in it only 6 months into their financial year. Because what I did catch was the leader of the opposition asking about one particular line item that was being funded again. But hold on. We're only 6 months into your budget. Why are we here asking for almost a double or whatever? And I'm paraphrasing, but don't quote. But yeah, and then I got that question out of nowhere. So what I'm going to do, my aim is to just break it down in plain language, real world examples, including, for what they were doing today. Some of the budgets or the approval that was needed in Finance Committee was also to purchase land to fund programs within the government that could yield into more employment opportunities for a second chance program, to also go for funding for our uniform service, I think fire service, from what I understood, additional budget for training and that sort of stuff, and even our port guys for funding for vehicles and that sort of stuff. And again, I'm breaking this down because I did not have the time to sit down and watch the entire proceedings. What I'm going to do is just an overall synopsis for those of you who are saying, but what's going on here. Also funding again for the Central Park, Scranton Park as well. So no jargon. We're just going to just break it down how we do it here, hoping that you lot understand and just connect the dots as to what it means. So before we get into that, we got to cover our news, we got to cover our weather and all that sort of stuff. And I'm not so sure what happened with my guys. I don't know where you are in the Cayman Islands today, whether or not you had a power outage, but we did. We lost power here in Prospect for a little bit this afternoon, and I was wondering what's up, but I didn't get the tomorrow's forecast. I see you. Thank you very much. One thing with you following instructions. Love you lots, girl. We lost power here for a couple of minutes earlier on this afternoon, had to redo everything, restart. Thank God I was able to save what I was doing as I prep. And yeah, so wherever you're from, if you lost power, it's now been restored, obviously. And I'm not so sure what happened there. Don't know how much customers were impacted, but I'm quite sure in short order, we will be getting some sort of update as to what caused that power outage today. But yeah, we're going to go into our news or weather segment for the forecast for tonight and do our birthday shout outs and get some laughter from all of those who were roaming in Cow Bush. Hope you didn't get no maiden plum or ticks. But before we go into that, oh my gosh, you guys are something else. Before we go into that, the views expressed by callers, guests, and online commenters are those of their own and not those of Bridge Media Limited, its affiliates, the Sabrina Speaks show, or the host. Now, this program is for general information only and not a substitute for legal, medical, financial, or professional advice. All participants are reminded to speak responsibly and respectfully. And any content that is defamatory, discriminatory, unlawful, or harmful is strictly prohibited and will not be endorsed or tolerated. Now, listener participation implies acceptance to this disclaimer. 345-936-8255 is the number to call in if you want to be a part of the lively discussion here. And you can also WhatsApp me directly on that line as well, because we love you to be a part of the discussion. It doesn't make me feel so alone, even though you guys keep me busy commenting here from YouTube and Facebook from all of our persons who are watching us live. And it's I just love this. But please make sure you continue to like and follow the page and share it with your friends so that you're always notified. And most importantly, that you never miss an episode, because we know it's been some challenges with finding us sometimes. We're not normally always on the main page of CMR or the Sabrina Turner Community Activist, but you got to click on Reels, and that's where sometimes you'll find these shows live. But yeah, if you like and follow, then you won't have a problem finding us once we are live. Yes, congratulations as well. This would not be possible. This would not be possible without the vision, I just got to say guts and glory of Sandra for celebrating 9 years anniversary of CMR. And you saw what she did me earlier this morning. I was happy to have been invited to share with her this milestone as she celebrates one more anniversary, many more to come. And that's 9 years, Big 10 coming up, and the giveaways. Oh my gosh, those giveaways were great. Now, just expecting to have been there for a couple of minutes, but Sandra, just what she did me when she gave me the opportunity. But kudos to Sandra for not giving up and for bringing something that people barely can wrap their head around. But she has continued on her path. She is creating so much opportunities for us, content creators like us, for the CMR family here, that we do have our podcasts and our various shows, being it whether or not it's daily, once a week, whatever the case may be, a season. She has given all of us an opportunity, and for that, we are eternally grateful for. I'm the only one that for now, that the brute locked me in to 5 days a week and doing a live show. She do the morning, I do the evening. So yeah, it's been a journey thus far, I must say. And I thank her for allowing me into her space, but all is for her, for just sticking to it. And she's still going through it. She's still constantly fighting. Lover, hater, whatever, the fact still remains. The woman is number one. This platform continues to grow, and I can't wait for the next chapter once we are all got the approval for the radio station so we can continue to reach the masses. But huge congratulations to her. Look at who's calling. Oh, Lord. Look at who's calling. Hello, my love.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fair to find. What trouble you up to now? Tell me what trouble.
I'm not up to no trouble. Where everybody think I up to trouble today.
Oh,
You're not
no.
the only one today tell me that.
For true.
I just called in because I know I called in the morning show this morning. So to say that you started Sabrina's Week on the 28th of May, but your official launch
The
is
30th.
actually the 30th of June, 2025. So I just wanted to call and wish you happy first anniversary. I'm wishing you many more years on this platform.
I didn't even realize that, my love, because time was going so fast. I just remembers the day in that house dress. That's all I remember.
Boy, and I love me a duster.
Oh, Lord. But thank you for remembering that. And it is a little cloudy, to be honest, for the official, because remember the first day that she pulled me in and then we actually talked about it and I said, okay. And then Sandra just shows up at the house and she's like, yeah, but you starting on Monday? I'm like, what? Yeah. And it just happened like that. So it's all over the place, but I'm quite sure Alfred, Sheena in a duster today. Oh no, I changed wardrobes twice today.
Listen. I want to say this. Sabrina could put on a Foster's plastic bag and make it look good. Yeah? So,
You're too kind. But yeah, no, Alfred, I want to say thank you. You, Connie, and so many of you were there from day one. But, you all started out with Sandra. And so you know where she have come from. And I'm just so happy that you all have stuck with her through thick, through thin. And here she is celebrating 9 years. And, we all got to be so thankful. I mean, even your show and all that, you tell people, look, she's not charging us. They look at you like, what? What do you mean she's not charging you? No, she's more a mentor than anything in this space. And she doesn't like it. I noticed that with her. When we try to pull it out of her for her to talk about and just not gloat, but to really just let people know where she's coming from, everything that she's been through, the love, the hate, the anger, the lawsuits, and here we are.
Yeah.
The woman has still broken so much barriers and continued on. You cannot even describe that in words, to be honest. People can't wrap their head around it.
Well, you see them shoulders? And some broad shoulders should take licks and should take licks from many people.
Exactly.
All right? Sometimes even they're not her dog, and not her monkey, not her circus, and she still take licks from people. So I think people need to really appreciate Sandra for all that she does and all that she does for the community that people don't know.
Correct, because a lot doesn't make her platform.
Okay, there you go.
A lot, and not everything has to be public. And that was tying it on to even public service. There's not everything that I ever took a picture of. There are many people during my time and even before that would never ever makes the public's domain because that's not what it's about. So yeah, it's just amazing. And kudos to you as you continue to grow. And I'm excited about the radio station though, to add on to what we're doing here. I think people would get a better concept of it. But you were the first caller, and you were the first one to see me when I was like a deer in headlights when she set this darn camera on the dining room table, and she said, "We got to try it out." And I said, "Okay." I'm just thinking, she's going to put on the camera and we could see it from her phone. When I saw live, I said, "What, you mean we live?" I said, "But Sandra got on my house dress." I said, "Got on my house dress."
Don't worry. You look good in it.
But thank you so much. And you actually gave a lot of history as well in regards to assisting in shaping this this platform as well with the ideas for the Wind Down Friday. And no, we got to give credit where it's due. And even with your show, you know, the little time people would swear to God that I know you, you know, for years on top years. This has just evolved because of this family. And I think that is what's unique about it. You know, you become a family, because she's never met the Honorable Member of Parliament in Bermuda, but you can't tell us that we're not all family and friends because of the close knit. Look at Nikki. Look at all of those for the art part, and it's just amazing how close we can come together in a virtual space and yet be so connected. So thank you.
And it's a growing process.
Yes.
It's a growing process. We're all learning. It takes a lot to produce a show. You know, so kudos to you for holding us from 5 to now 7.
Mine it
right?
was supposed to be an hour.
For a year.
It was only supposed to be an hour.
For a year. And we know we can't get enough of you.
Oh, God. You just trouble. But thank you. Thank you so much for your contribution. Always. Appreciate you, my love. All right.
Yeah, man. Bye.
Sure. There we have it. We're celebrating here today. And, you know, I just had to do that. And thank you, Alfred, for doing that. He is definitely one of those, oh God, Connie, I'm going to come to these comments. Let's just get over the weather. And then we just go into that segment, which I know you guys love, where I just mess with all of you who join in and jump in on the live. And you can always jump in on the live. You want to call, and you just do extend those wishes and congratulatory messages to Sandra here. Of course, you're welcome to do so. But let's see what's making the weather forecast for this evening. We don't have tomorrow's yet. It's not ready, and I don't see the prompt as yet. So I'll give you what I got for now. The synopsis is calling for a lingering moisture across the Northwest Caribbean, along with light winds and daytime heating. Can encourage afternoon showers, and an upper level low can provide favorable assistance for the isolated thunderstorms as tropical waves drift over the Western Caribbean. That is expected later this evening. We see radar imagery just show light showers in and around the Cayman area. The forecast for tonight is calling for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of overnight showers. Temperatures will fall to the low 80s. Winds will be east to northeast, 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. There will be a high tide at 10:50 this evening, a low tide at 4:50 a.m., and another high is expected at 9:55 tomorrow morning. Sun will set this evening at 7:06, and sun will rise tomorrow morning at 5:52. The outlook is calling for occasional showers that are expected to linger through Wednesday as residual moisture remains near the Cayman area. There you have it. That's what we got from the Weather Service so far. I'm just hoping that those power outages didn't slow down their forecast into tomorrow, but we'll definitely share it once it becomes live. Let's take a look at what's making local news here on the Sabrina Speaks platform for this evening. Starting with, yes, the Cayman Islands Parliament Standing Finance Committee convened today. That is at 12:30. Now, the session was chaired by the Minister of Finance and Economic Development, the Honorable Ralston Anglin, who leads the committee's review of budgetary allocations and spending priorities. Now, members continued their examination of departmental funding request and related financial matters as part of Parliament's ongoing oversight of public finances. The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service is seeking the public's assistance in locating a wanted man, Michael Golab, as age 22 of Georgetown. Now, Golab is described as 5 feet 10 tall, dark-skinned, with a low-cut hair, and is wanted in connection with an attempted murder investigation. Now, police warned that he should not be approached. Anyone who sees him should immediately contact 911. Now, information on his whereabouts can also be provided to the Georgetown Police Station by calling 345-949-4222 or anonymously through the RCIPS confidential tip line or Cayman Crime Stoppers. In other local news, we see where the Cayman Islands government has released an updated immigration reform guidebook. now available on gov.ky. The new version, dated 18th of June, also provides plain language overview of the Caymanian Protection Act of 2022 and its supporting regulations. Now it explains key areas such as work permits, RERC, Caymanian status fees, and traditional provisions, helping the public to better understand the immigration changes that are now in effect. The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, together with the Ministry of Education Training, the Department of Education Service, and emergency partners, has launched a week-long activity intruder training and development program running from June 29th to July 3rd. Now, the initiative aims to strengthen national preparedness and improve coordinated responses to potential intruder incidents, particularly in schools. Clifton Hunter High School is serving as a key partner with specialized training delivered by the Alert Center at Texas State University. Official says that the program will help shape future policy and enhance safety across the education system. As we turn our attention over to regional news making headlines this evening, we see where hundreds of Jamaicans gathered in Crossroads St. Andrew this morning to protest what they describe as a country mirrored in corruption and lack of moral leadership. Demonstrators dressed in yellow and representing a broad cross-section of society criticized the government for signing a memorandum of understanding with the United States to accept third country nationals, an arrangement first reported by the Gleaner 2 weeks ago. Now, protesters says that the move raises serious concerns about transparency and national policy direction. The government of Bermuda has established a new National Economic Cooperation Committee to strengthen the island's international partnerships and ensure global engagement delivers meaningful benefits to Bermudans. Official says the NECC will support efforts to expand economic cooperation, attract investment, and prepare Bermudans for the future workforce. Now, the initiative is also aimed at reinforcing Bermuda's position as a stable, competitive, and forward-looking jurisdiction. Turning our attention over now to Trinidad and Tobago, because guess what? They are reporting a noticeable change along parts of their coastlines following last week's powerful twin earthquakes. Geological officials confirm that the seismic activity caused a sudden uplift at Galfa Point, altering the shoreline and exposing areas previously underwater. Now, the uplift is still being assessed, with experts monitoring for additional movement and potential impact on nearby communities. Authorities, however, are urging cautions as evaluations continues across the affected coastal zones. ABC this evening is reporting that a hotel housing more than 100 Venezuelans recently deported from the United States collapsed during last week's deadly earthquakes in Venezuela. Family says that several of those staying at that property are now missing or injured as rescue teams continue searching through widespread destruction. Now, the incident highlights the scale of the disaster and the urgent need for support of vulnerable groups affected by the twin quakes. Also this evening, we see where Gulf News is reporting that the Philippines now leads Southeast Asia in satellite-powered mobile connectivity with Global's launch of Starlink direct-to-call service. Now, the new technology delivers satellite-based mobile coverage to remote communities and areas impacted by natural disasters, significantly improving communication during emergencies. Officials say that the rollout marks a major step forward in expanding reliable, resilient mobile access across the country. And over in the UK this evening, we see where the governor of the Bank of England is defending the UK's latest interest rate decisions as inflation concerns continue to rise. In an interview with GB News, he stressed that the central bank is not complacent, saying policymakers remain focused on stabilizing prices and shielding households from further cost of living pressures. Now, his remarks come amid a renewed scrutiny of the bank's strategy as inflationary risk persists across the United Kingdom economy. And we take a look at the business market report for this evening because we see where global markets close higher today, with the Wall Street lending gains as easing U.S.-Iran tensions and renewed strength in major tech stocks lifted investor sentiment. Now, the Dow Jones ended at a record 52,182, while the S&P 500 rose 7,440, and the NASDAQ climbed above 25,820. Oil prices continues to retreat toward pre-conflict levels, helping calm inflation concerns. Here at closer to home in the Caribbean, we see where markets were mostly steady, with Jamaica's JSE main and junior market showing marginal movements. Trinidad and Tobago posting modest financial sector gains, and Barbados reporting quiet trading today. Now, currency markets across the Eastern Caribbean remain stable heading into the new quarter. Now, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That concludes our news segment here for this evening on Sabrina Speaks, including your market report. Now, how much of you watched those games yesterday evening? Before we get into that, you know what? Let's just big on it up and say happy birthday to all of those people, because let me tell you something. I had some nursing to do last night with my son. I told you. I could hold that little story for the section where we go, because oh my God, all over has felt the shockwave of Germany being sent home, and oh my gosh, my nursing skills were needed last night. For Christopher, poor brute. But let's go into the birthday shout-outs. Happy birthday to all of those who are celebrating birthdays here today, and wedding anniversaries as well. We want to wish you a happy birthday, happy wedding anniversary, or maybe you're just celebrating life. Whatever it is you're celebrating, trust me, we celebrate with you here today and always, of course. And you know, we cannot disregard those who are mourning the loss of a loved one. Our thoughts and prayers go out to you as you navigate this time here, and we know it's not easy, but we just want you to know that as a close-knit community that we are all connected some way, somehow, and you are being remembered as you navigate this difficult time. From all of us here on the Sabrina Speaks family, those who got loved ones even in the hospital, we're sending our thoughts and prayers and love for you as well. So, yep, again, all of those who've graduated, I know ICCI is having their graduation this evening. That is going to start probably in about half hour. So congratulations to all the graduates, and we wish you all the best on your next chapter in life. And we know how it can be an exciting times for many, and some reality, life hitched you. So congratulations to all of you as well. Connie Bonnie is first in the house to comment this evening after she was rooming in all that bush yesterday evening. I got some pictures to show you, and she heeded the call, and I got some pictures of the mangoes that she got from in the bush. Donnie is also here, beautiful. Our two ladies are content in bloom, this sharing beautiful flowers with us. You know what? Let me just do this now so we just get this. Here is Connie Bonnie's flowers for today. There we go, her beautiful flowers that she sent us today. That's 2 of 3 that we got from her. We got a bunch from Connie. Yeah, there we go. Look at that orchid. There we go. That's Connie with her green thumb. And look, we can't eat those ornamentals, but I tell you what, the brute went MIA yesterday because she was into some bush stealing local mangoes. I could say that. She said she didn't get no ticks. We'll do the check on the maiden plum. No maiden plum either, I'm assuming. Oh my gosh. I remember this as a child, going in the highlands or in the bush looking for mangoes. That's, of course, before we became so developed that we had grass piece or bush to go in, and Lower Valley and all Hotland, yeah, all down in there. As a young child, I would go with my family. Of course, they knew who these properties were for, but I can remember doing this. I didn't like it though. I didn't like it, and worse if it was raining or the rain the night before. I didn't like it. But my family would get up really early in the morning, and they would go typically on a Sunday morning, or if it was a long weekend, yeah. But and we would it was just amazing. Every now and again, you would get chased by a cow. I bet you figured how fast you could run then. And Donnie is sharing some beauties from her, yes, Green Valley Nursery, that's open Monday to Friday from 7 until 4 p.m. And they're also open same time on Saturday as well. Donnie sharing with us some beauties here this evening. Look at all of these. Look. These are beautiful in bloom. But look at that desert rose. Isn't that a beauty? Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? These and so much more, if you want to see what Donnie has in store at Green Valley Nursery there in Lower Valley, you got to visit her. And she, I'm quite sure, could help you design your yard, a space, whatever it is. Donnie got the knack for it. She definitely has the green thumb. And we want to thank her. But look, there, somebody after ornamentals and another person after mangoes. You guys are something else. Yes. Yes. What happened yesterday? You got to go back to it. Miss Barbara G is also in the house. Good evening to you as well. Yes. Damian Henry is joining us this evening as well. He says, good evening all. You can't pour from an empty cup. Before you can effectively support, guide, or care for others, you must also make time to look after yourself. Prioritizing your own well-being is not a sign of weakness or selfishness. It is essential for maintaining the energy, resilience, and clarity needed to give your best to those around you. When your cup is full, you are far better equipped to help fill the cups of others. And you're so right, Damien. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Look at my friend Donna. Big up, Miss Donna. Winston, give him all my love. Give him one big kiss for me this evening. You hear? Hope you're doing well, Miss Donna. Good evening to you. Always good. I know you're there, even though you don't comment. But thank you so much for always being a part of this. No ticks, Connie said. She didn't get no ticks. You didn't get chased by cow either. Yes, you won. Congratulations. We were talking about the celebrations this morning. Connie won the gelato maker this morning, and she fooled us with her voice. Yeah, she fooled us. She even fooled Sandra. Sandra, oh my goodness, you're something else. Yep. Okay, Harry from the UK is joining us this evening as usual. How you doing? How you managing with that heat, my sweet? North Carolina Love is also here as well with us this evening. And yeah, I'm going to keep doing it. Connie Palmer, BET Awards was number 2. Hashtag BET Awards was number 2. There we go. Don't worry. Big things coming. What Damien is saying, he's sending wishes out. There we go. Wishing everyone at CMR a wonderful 9th year anniversary and congratulations on those milestones. Thank you for your hard work, dedication, and achievements. Here's to celebrating past successes and looking forward to many more years of growth and excellence ahead. Happy anniversary. I am quite sure Auntie Sandy will be happy to see all of the love that is coming in. You can keep them pouring in. We will definitely read them. These are things that we will cherish, and I'm quite sure she is aware. She will probably see some of these later on. But nothing wrong with sharing the love. That's what we need more in our space. It makes the world a better place. I believe that with every fiber of my being. Andrew is here. Yes. Good evening, Sabrina. Blessed Tuesday to you and the Cayman Islands, and to you as well. It feels as though I've been in here from what? 8:45? It's like I never moved from this space all day today. Yeah, like I pulled a double shift here today. But good to see you all back this evening. Thank you for tuning in. The East Indian mangoes, you eat 6 a day? You got a rate to run. You know how much sugar that is you're putting in yourself, girl? Oh my goodness. I like namnak and my local long mangoes. The round ones, people say, oh, they're common mangoes. I don't like those. They're sweet. Got to give you a joke on that now. But I come into the mango thing again. I got so much stories I can share to show you how I have failed as a parent. I have failed with exposing my sons, especially this last one, the real common mango. I could digress for a second now that we're talking about this. He comes home the other evening and he says, I got these 2 mangoes from work. He said, but obviously he'd eaten one. And he said, boy, they sweet. I said, okay, they're not number 11. And I looked closer at it, but he was raving about this mango. My boy didn't realize he was eating a Cayman common round mango. And at that moment, how old was I when I realized that I failed my son? Right then, 52. He could not wrap his head around how good a local common mango tasted because I failed. He was used to the namnak and all of these hybrids that we now have. And it was amazing. He was just raving about how good this common mango tasted. And he didn't realize he was eating a common mango. And I have to look at how we say the common mango. It's as though it's less. And we gotta stop that. But yeah, I had to accept that I failed. But the good thing was he enjoyed this common mango. And he was like thinking it's some special mango because that poor thing, that's all he's been used to. The namnuks and the other ones. And yeah, so, oh boy, he was something else. But I got another part to tell you about the football game. Harry, how you doing? Not sure about mangoes. Never really tried. Really? Never really tried them. But peaches are the worst. They make me feel sick. Oh no. Sorry about that. You haven't had a mango. Oh, you're in the UK. Poor you. No, man. They gotta have some Caribbean stores around there that you plenty of Jamaicans up there, plenty there. You can get mangoes. You need to try find one shop. Oh, Harry, you really need to even take. Oh God, we got to work on you. Let's see what we can do. Connie, what do you think? We gotta have to adopt Harry. We gotta do something with Harry. We gotta put a little Caribbean step into him, huh? Thank you so much, Miss Daughter, for doing that. And Connie is saying no cows chased her either. Oh, well, you ended up doing well. Good for you. Well, I know we had some of our friends here yesterday who were sharing the scores live with us on the football match as they unveiled themselves. And I told you I could recall exactly how on Sunday, speaking with my son, he was so confident. Oh yeah, Germany, that's my team. And I was saying, he said, your mama don't have a favorite team. No, I'm not a bandwagonist. But I just like to watch a good match. Like last night after the show, that it ended up in those penalty kickoffs. Like I was on the edge of my seat. I almost felt myself kicking. But I never heard a word from him. Andrew, when I tell you, I saw him on the way going down and he met me and he did like 2 turns, like trying to accept defeat. Can't believe that, he was just that they're out. And I said, are you okay? I said, are you okay? And you could just see him. Like, how can I deal with this? How can I do, but he's alive and well. He slept it off. I didn't even see him come down. Normally he would come down for a beverage or stuff before he retires to bed. I not see him. And I know he's gone to work. But he's in tropical depression, let me tell you. So it was one of those things where you didn't know whether or not you could laugh or whether or not what do you do when he had his hopes build up that Germany was actually going to end up in the finals? So, of course, you know how mothers do it. I said, you're now going to believe me that this is a different FIFA season and that the underdogs are going to probably end up in the finals. Well, of course he couldn't defend it because he was all Germany. But he did admit that there are some surprises, and he would not be surprised. But of course, he's still nursing his wounds of defeat because Germany is no longer in the runnings. So there you have it. My sincere condolences to all of you Germany fans who have been sent home. Please, that is by no means taking a jab at you. It's just a harsh reality. Brazil is still holding on, and so is Mexico. So let's see what's going to actually happen. Like I said, please don't beat me up. I have no team. I just have fun observing my family, observing you guys, just watching a good game. So please, please, please don't hold anything against me. I don't bet. I don't do it. I just enjoy a good game. That's all it was. But last night's game that ended in that penalty kickoff was amazing. Netherlands has gone home now. Yeah. So there we go. Connie is saying, where in the UK is he? If he's Northwest, he can buy them in Harlesden. Oh, okay. Well, there you go, Harry. They're telling you where you can find mangoes if you're interested. I could move to the Caribbean, he says, if only you would agree to swap. It's a great deal. I promise. We have pig, hedgehog, squirrels, trees. First of all, you talking about all of them things. I don't like outdoors like that. So you keep shooting yourself. You keep shooting yourself in the foot, my love. Just stop. Just stop. And sheep, don't forget the sheep. You keep them right where they are. You keep them right. We will share this space together, the island life together, my friend. You can come on down, but you can keep that exactly where it is. Yes. Okay. Thanks for that correction. Andrew is saying many more will be leaving soon. This is about the football game. Many more will be leaving soon as Germany fans don't feel bad. Bad. So, yeah, it's true. But I think there were a lot of people commented exactly at their performance at this stage of the game. They were very disappointed at their performance. And that has, even the commentators are saying the same thing. Those who were doing the reviews, it's like, something was definitely off. And they weren't performing like how they would perform on their home stage. You're in the United States now. At least show up in a way that, shows you're professional and at that league. So I don't know. Maybe it was just an off day. Let's blame it on the heat. But they can't even do that because they're getting that type of weather over there as well. So there you have it. But based on all the comments that were coming out, excuse me for the crunching. Based on what the comments were coming out, a lot of people are just disappointed at their performance. But I agree with you, Andrew. Lots more will be going home. They will not be the only ones feeling bad as the show continues in the knockout stage. And I don't know if you like the penalty stuff, but there were a lot of emotions. Whoop, you were up, you were down. You were just like, get over it. And then you're up again, then you're down. So it all depends. But it was really a good game last night. Harlesden, never heard of that in my life. Really? I will have to check it out. I live in Southwest, next to Southern Wales. Oh, poor you. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh, you way out. I am quite sure. Harry, listen closely. There is some Caribbean person somewhere there that has some store that can get you some tropical fruit, mango. And I'm going to go here. A Jamaican is everywhere in the world. Once you find one, they will tell you exactly where you can get those mangoes. The Southern Korean president has ordered a formal investigation into the national football team for getting kicked out. Really? They can't take a loss? If they lost, they lost. So this will be interesting. Come on, man. Oh, Lord. Don't get me started. And remember, I'm not really into it. So it is very interesting as we speak football here, and good to catch up with all of you here. But for those of you who are just joining, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to one and all. Yes, this is another episode of Sabrina Speaks here as we get in and dive into something that might sound technical, might sound even a little bit, I could create a word here this evening, government-ish. But trust me, it's going to impact and affect Bristol. Okay. Hey, Harry. See, Damian Henry is saying you can get mangoes in Bristol. So based on proximity, I'm quite sure somebody need to help poor little Harry out here because he's not had mangoes before. Yeah, but what I'm talking about is that today in Parliament, they had finance committee. And I got a question directly asking, and the question was quite general, but they're just 6 months into their budget. Why are they back? And I'm like, okay, that inspired me to just do a breakdown of it. And because I somewhat explained it, right? And why are they back in finance committee already was the question. Didn't they just get into their budget? And what does this mean? And I thought of just breaking it down for us today and to just let you know what it means. Now, finance committee in itself, right? That's not a separate group of people. You could, if you've watched a live on the CIG YouTube channels, it is not a separate group of people. It is not even a special club just for layman's terms or a select committee. No, it's not. It's not a secret either because it was publicly broadcast. What finance committee is Parliament itself. Switching gears into a special mode, and this is how I'm going to describe it, where members, elected members, examines, review government spending, additional spending line by line. And if they so desire, sometimes you will have every elected member becomes a part of this finance committee, and especially if any additional funding is needed or moving funds from one line item to the next or from one pool to a next, they become a part of finance committee. Not all, it's not a full sitting of the House. You don't have the speaker there. It's chaired by the Minister of Finance. And that's why Mr. Ralston Anglin was chairing this meeting today, okay? And the purpose is simple. Bottom line, examine, question, and approve how government plans to spend their money. Now, this is not optional because it is also covered in the Constitution. Yeah, this is constitutional law. And if you don't believe me, under Section 71 of the Constitution, it says, and I quote, "There shall be established a finance committee which shall examine the proposals of the government for the expenditures of public monies." So in layman's terms, that means that Parliament must check every dollar before the government spends it, right? Now, what you look at is the entire framework of it. There may have been additional things that came up, like I said, different priorities or a shortfall in forecasting that wasn't covered when the actual budget was approved. There are provisions in the law that allows them to do that. Oh, Jesus. Harry said, I digress here. That one thing with me, I just catch everything. Harry says, I will order a mango off of Amazon. Let me see. You need to take a picture of that and share that with us, how that comes. But I'm quite sure it'll be nicely packed. You can try it. You'd be surprised. You might get through. Well, let's look now at the legal framework, right? In regards to this whole constitutional part of finance, because the legal framework that supports this is that it sets the rules for how government handles the monies. This is the legal framework of it. And what does is that Parliament also has some say in the controlling of spending. And government must report on finances. Borrowing limits, they have their limits as well. Borrowing in its own has their limits. And then you'll have where the Auditor General must independently check everything at the end of the day. So with all of that, these are the government's, the constitutional in part 7 under the finance. That is what that is covering. So Finance Committee is actually the tool that our Parliament uses to enforce these very same rules that are covered under Part 7 of the Constitution. Then you have the Public Management and Finance Act of 2026. And that particular piece of law explains how budgets are prepared, how appropriations work, meaning how different monies get to different ministries for different projects, to fund salaries, to fund capital projects like any big buildings, constructions, roads, docks, schools, that sort of stuff, how appropriations work, how changes to the spendings must also be approved. These are all covered under the Public Management and Finance Act, and how overspending must be corrected. That is all. Those guidelines are covered under the Public Management and Finance Act of 2026. So when government actually needs to adjust anything in the budget, they have to go to Finance Committee every time. Okay. And that's what has taken place today. What little I do recall, and this is more from memory, if, in case those of you who may have joined in or not, because then the power cut as well, we had an experience in a power cut. But we heard where Minister for Agriculture, Roads and Planning, and he's also responsible for the ports. But I'll just paraphrase what I heard him said that his additional funding was for, is for some of the monies for the Central Scranton Park, for the vehicles that are that is used at the port, and also for purchase of lands as well. And that is from an environmental protection standpoint. And there are lands that government owes people or may have planned to buy. It's also for that. Another big takeaway that my memory serves me well is that government is one of 3 owners of Owens Island in Little Cayman. Yes, a little over, I want to say an acre, don't quote me, I'll have to go back. A little over an acre of Owen Island. So Owen Island is not just owned by one owner, it's owned by 3 owners. The Cayman Islands government is one of those 3 owners, but they do not own the majority of it. So plans for how and how much access, how it can be used, exact location and all that sort of stuff. These are all discussions that is still ongoing with the government, and the Honorable Minister was unable to really say exactly what are the long-term parameters and plans for how Owen Island will be used and how it will be demarcated for what's public. I don't know how they're going to do it. I'm not going to put words into their mouths, but I think that was a big takeaway. People have this concept that it's owned by, it's a private island and it's just owned by one individual. No, it's not. The Cayman Islands has a stake in it. Now, whether the future plans for some of the funds that was allocated and approved today, whether that's a part of a bigger shareholder in Owens Island, more to come on that. Also, what I also heard the minister speaking about is them purchasing the tip of down by Papagallo. Oh gosh, that name always slips me. I'm thing to oh Lord, what's down their name? Can't get it. Somebody help me. But they purchased land, Barcas. Yes, the tip of Barcas, the head of Barcas. Government has funded more money in order to purchase more land, Barcas, to buy more land down there in West Bay to preserve that as well. So there's lots of things that are happening. Also for roads and infrastructure improvements, there's additional funding for that. And from the agricultural standpoint of things, more funding was asked for or sought for from that minister to aid and assist with their farmers in feed and that sort of stuff. There was a question that was asked about what is the government plans on pretty much like there were some outstanding fees owned by farmers and stuff. What are the long-term plans for that? Is it going to be a write-off? I'm paraphrasing, and they're still trying to work at that to see how they're going to probably try to ease or help those with outstanding fees that are owed. So there's lots of information. Of course, there were other questions there. We saw where the acting deputy governor, the interim, acting deputy governor, Miss Gloria McField, she was also there because additional funding was given to the office of the deputy governor, or that's the portfolio of civil service. And those fundings was to be able to expand and be able to offer more job opportunities for the second chance program that government is offering right now. Again, this is all by memory. From what I gathered and what I heard, there is about 16 persons that are still there, and over 22 have been a part of the program. Some have left to have actually gone on to start their own business, or they have, just departed or have been retained in the service. So we can see where their benefits are there, but the additional funding will create more opportunities for persons to get second chances as civil servants in through that program. So that was what I heard. I think I overheard the Honorable Minister Nicholas Da Costa also explaining why he needed additional funding as well for training for our fire service, or great men and women in the uniform service, for equipment and training. From if what I'm hearing, what I heard is right, but the rest I was not able to finish because, like I said, they took a short break and then I lost power. So you can follow that yourself. You can go back and watch it for yourself, and you can hear some of the questions. There was a lot of questioning in regards to the Central Scranton Park on that progress about playground equipment and whether or not it's going to have 24-hour security. And what came out of the questions and supplementary questions was whether or not the security would be independent or based on how the flow through, whether or not the security from a government administration building will also be a part of that park. Now, this is just me observing and listening to the discussions, the questions that were being had. However, a full update would have been provided to the public and also the Georgetown representative based on feedback from the project team, as stated by the Honorable Minister J. Ebanks on that progress. Right now, from what I'm understanding, that an opening date has been pushed back or of some sort. And what equipment is there is more for health, but not, and for seniors and stuff, but not for children. So there's still funds that are needed. I think there was 20,000 that was needed for playground equipment. And that was in another appropriation, which I'm hopefully was later approved, so that the playground equipment for younger kids would be a part of it. So when it is opened, at least it would be able to facilitate and entertain and keep all ages healthy, exercise, and just one nice play space. So I can't wait for that to open to see how the final the space ends up being. I know it's been a long time coming, and one thing with the Georgetown Central representative, he could fight for the Scranton Park. Oh yeah. And love him or hate him, the man fighting, just like how others are fighting for even getting roads. I saw, for my people here in Red Bay, they were asking about roadworks for Prospect Drive. And there are some other roadworks that are needed. And from what I understood the minister saying, this is a quick synopsis and update, is that there were no monies actually in the budget for those roads to be better paved. But later on, it is envisioned where they can see savings. Please don't quote me. I'm just letting you know. But they're going to be looking at all the roads and stuff that needs to be done. They were more focusing on the major roadworks, like the whole roundabout by Kingsport Center and the major thoroughfares, to make sure that they were taken care of, and then work into the inner roads. So it's not like it's fallen on deaf ear. That's what was made to be understood. And the minister did confirm that one thing with him, he likes color and he likes good roads and that sort of stuff. So it's not like he's becoming neglecting any other thing. But what I understood from him is that his major concerns was just getting the main roads sorted out, including additional funding that for the extension of the east-west arterial continuation, and that what has been delayed there is the roadworks from Water Authority, and that they are looking at possibly running those pipes along the edge of the roads instead of putting it at like in one of the lanes, so that it does not slow down the progress of continued works that is needed on that extension. So yeah, lots going on. Like I said, if I had listened to the whole thing, maybe I would have been able to give you that as like a bedtime story. But now you know exactly what they were there about, and I'm just here letting you know what gives them the right. A lot of you will say, well, I don't understand it. If they had issues or made aware that, example, the port needed trucks, this park in Scranton needed this, that, and that, why was it not funded? I can't answer those questions, but that is why it is a good thing that we have legislation in place, provisions in place to not make things just get bottlenecked and stopped in its tracks, then nobody benefits. That there are provisions such as this in place that they, of course, meeting finance approval, but without slowing down certain things, there are provisions that can be done to keep money going. Otherwise, you could be blocking training from our fire officers. You could be slowing down hiring. You could be slowing down job opportunities and programs, and even how we maintain our roads and public spaces and all that sort of stuff. Emergencies as well, but we can get into that a little bit more. So, but the big question is, why are we in Finance Committee only 6 months into the financial year? And I hope you were able to pick up why, because there things that requires additional funding, or there were shortfalls based on forecasting and that sort of stuff, that there are provisions in the law that covers for these things to be done. This is normal. This is quite normal, even though it may not look good on any administration for coming back, quote unquote, so early. It is normal. There's always a margin for expecting of these things to happen. And this is just a part of good governance, why you have this other process, Finance Committee, in order to vet these movements. And imagine if this was happening in private and you only heard of it after it was done. This is happening in real time. It's live streamed, letting you know, letting you hear all the questions and all of that sort of stuff. As annoying as they may seem, it is an opportunity for you to know where your monies are going and why they moved it from here and why they moved it from there. That's what, there's an opportunity for the opposition to ask the relevant questions, as annoying as it may appear or maybe dragged out sometimes. Yeah. When you look at the overall national budget that was approved, that kicked in as of the 1st of January this year, that is a plan at the end of the day. But life doesn't always, we know that, follow this plan. Even though they have structured rules and stuff, you want to make sure that your projections, your forecasting actually come as closely as possible. But you also have to look at through different lens. What are we doing for inward investment? What are we doing to make sure that we're continuing to make money instead of taxing our people when we're already navigating the instability with geopolitics? We see what's happening with natural disasters, and you have to have those preventative funding as well in the event emergency funding, in the event that that is also needed, while balancing people feeling that whatever it is you're funding, they're feeling it immediately. We all know how life is. So supplementary appropriations, you may have heard that term and will have heard that term being used a lot of the time, is a term that is used when we see the administration, government, may need extra funding for, like I said, the second chance programs or other programs, emergencies that may come up, inflation impacts that we're seeing is impacting the entire world, and assisting in projects moving faster than expected. They needs to be funded. And many times we see where their contract overruns. Now that's where the bigger question comes in. You have the Auditor General can look at those, but again, business continuity, it has to continue spinning, right? And then you will hear the term used a lot, reallocations. What I kind of went into that earlier on. Sometimes ministries will need to shift money between one pool of money in a particular line item that, let's say, for example, I had money for public health, example, but I see where I needed money then for the blood bank. Just an example. I could move money from the public health to put in another line item that supports anything to do with the blood bank. And what we will see from time to time, some ministries need to shift monies around, and even small changes require finance committees scrutiny. They have a right to ask. It is not like you just have a blank check because you're a minister and you have, let's say, 21 line appropriations under your ministry for different things that you can move and all of that sort of stuff. No, you just don't have that right. You don't have that right. It needs approval. And at the end of the day, that is why these committees are here, so that the questions can be asked and making sure. This is why it's important for you all to pay attention to these. That's why it's so important. Went on the road a few months ago and the road was so good, but went back last week and the road is fully paved, and that's, okay, hold on. It was fully paved, and that not a mean road, that was in West Bay North. Oh, I'm getting some comments here. We appreciate you for breaking down things, but Sandy is the spicy one. Oh yeah, thank you so much. Oh, okay, I'm reading these backwards. Yeah, thank you. I don't want to miss my WhatsApp messages at all. So as I described this morning on the show, Sandra is the, Jimbo had described Sandra as the pineapple, and he described me as the peach. We both have our own way, and trust me, yeah, it is something else. Oh Lord, hard to miss the show. Even on vacation, I listen to her. My children say to me, we can't plan anything before 10 or 11 because Sandra's on air. I defend her so many times. If people try anything about her, and I tell them off and correct them on what they are saying. Yes. Oh my goodness. So there we got some love shared there by WhatsApp. There we go. Michelle, how are you, my dear? It's good to have you joining with us. It's been a minute. Alfred Real is saying, Harry doesn't need any forced ripe mangoes. He need to come during mango season and pick off the tree and get that experience. And he needs to try all types that we have here. I agree with you, my love. There we go, as we continue here in breaking this all down for you so that it all makes sense. So we have covered supplementary appropriations and what they are. We have covered exactly the definition of reallocation and what that means. And then new policy decisions is what we're going to try to go into right now, because what that means, and any policy that's written, any new ideas, some of them could have financial implications. And one of the reasons that you have to get additional funding for new policy decisions that could be made that fell outside or after the national budget was approved is that if cabinets approve a new initiative that wasn't in the original budget, Parliament must authorize that spending, because remember, it would not have been aired. Opposition would not have been aware of it unless these cabinet summaries, you remember now I read these things out to you, what they pass and all that sort of stuff. The opposition would not have been privy to that unless it is in the public's domain. So anything that requires a new policy that requires funding, it has to actually go through this finance committee before any spending can be done. And then, of course, you have those unexpected events. storm season, global economic changes. We have sudden cost increases like what the Honorable Minister for Agriculture is saying, and the cost of feed for livestock and all that sort of stuff. Urgent national needs. We see where the continuation of the road, there may be some emergency that you got to purchase lands for environmental protection reasons, for closing of deals because closing of deals for previous or older purchases where persons are still waiting to be paid by government. Let's say there was a road or encroachment happen and people have to be compensated, or even relocation of persons for in the best interest of national good, for the greater good. So these things all fall under unexpected events. And again, before it can move, it needs to get the blessing of finance committees. And then there's also a section where if there are any errors, not saying that these came up today, there are times that there are corrections or technical adjustments that requires approval from finance committee, right? And sometimes what we have seen where budgets have already passed is that there needs to be amendments like accounting corrections, updated revenue forecasts. You may have heard the minister saying what is projected, what is forecasted. It could be a surplus, it could be more, we could fall short. That is why the chairman actually said that today, because forecasting and how much days we have in compliance, I think he said, was it 90 something days? 90 something days? Whatever, please don't quote me on some of these, because everything I'm doing here, well, I know Alzheimer's not getting me because I actually retain a lot more than I can believe, can imagine. But whatever it is, we're in good standing right now, that we're not cringing or walking on a fine line or a tightrope where there's going to be, at this time, with what was declared here today, that there's any chances of us spooking the United Kingdom based on what was shared today. Meaning, hey, something is going on. You don't have your reserve days in the event. Like, we're so tight that, hold up. What's going on here? It's not that. We're not in crisis based on what was declared today. Okay. So there are times that you will see these things happen and corrections or technical adjustments are needed. And finance committee in this case is the legal mechanism and the only legal mechanism that can actually fix these errors or adjustments that are needed. So even though the overall budget was passed 6 months ago, approved, government cannot just spend extra money or shift around monies as they so choose. They must go back to Parliament. They must sit in Finance Committee, as you saw today, and they must explain the changes as well. And they must also get approval from Finance Committee. And that, my friends, say what you want. We see what's happening in some other jurisdictions where there's so much questions. It's covered in a shroud of really, that 1 + 1 is supposed to be 2, but why is it saying -4? That, my friends, right now is accountability. That's transparency, and that's democracy. So even though it's layers on top, layers and layers, and you said, okay, it's too slow. When you look at other jurisdictions that do not work off of a system similar to ours, then there is room for distrust. There is room for all sorts of speculations. But the mere fact that ours is handled like this, I hope that it brings some sort of comfort to you to say, well, okay, we're trying to be, or we are being as transparent as we can, right? So in real life, some of these things you're saying, well, we got the pension that is underfunded. We want to do better in access to healthcare. We want to make sure that our schools, our docks, our public spaces, whatever there is, right? When you look at land purchases and we're hearing how important this is to preserve certain areas, we see the kerfuffle still about Fisherman Bay, Red Spot in town. We see how passionate we are to preserve Barca's Beach and try to purchase as much as Barca's as we can in order to stop that from being developed, and even other properties for housing and that sort of stuff, right? That is all a part of this. And what finance, if you hear that, that's Chance just being a naughty boy right now. Finance committee just isn't about the salaries. I just want you to know that, or their operational budgets. No, it covers major capital decisions as well. You may have heard me talk about that earlier on. When you hear about major capital projects, those are like big projects. For example, we're going to build a dock. We're going to build a new prison. We're going to build, let's say, a new school. Those are labeled as capital projects, usually managed, and the line items are funded through the respective ministry that they fall under, right? And those, one of the biggest capital decisions any government makes, we have seen, or major decisions, is when it comes to the acquisition of land, buying of land. And when you look at what that takes, and the reasons that government purchase land, they could purchase it for general government use, like schools, roads, clinics, affordable housing. We hear that there's a shortfall of 3,000 houses that is needed. Purchasing of lands to avoid dealing or messing up any contracts. The Honorable Minister for Finance says, there's just certain amount of questions that they could only answer. There's only so far they could have gone because they don't want to actually impair or could impact any deals or negotiations that are ongoing right now. But some of the funds that were actually approved today was actually purchasing of lands for affordable housing and also for public infrastructure as well. And as we know, other community facilities. So Finance Committee is needed to approve all of these things. And because when you purchase land that's sometimes involving large sum of your money, public money, Parliament must ensure that one, it was done that the price is fair, that the purpose here, this is the big one, is justifiable. Parliament must prove that the purpose is justified and the acquisition, meaning purchasing of it, aligns with national priorities. You just don't go randomly purchasing lands and that sort of stuff. And then, at the end of the day, the spending fits within the approved budget because you don't want to spend what was not budgeted. So let's say, again, you've identified a piece of land perfect for a school in Bodytown, for example, or let's say a school in West Bay. This land was not, let's say, included in the original budget because maybe the land was not even up for sale, or they were unaware that this land would have actually gone up for sale. That would have sparked their interest. It happened since, right? Or maybe it's a case where the process started, but negotiations weren't finalized. Government in itself, using your money, can't just simply buy it, No, they can't just do that. They must first approve it within themselves, bring it to their caucus and their cabinet, and then at some point it comes to Finance Committee as well and explain the purpose, justify the cost. This is if they're going to need more money, and answer questions from members of Parliament before getting their approval. Now, it's different if this money was earmarked and it's within a certain amount. At some point in time, it still has to be declared on the floor of Parliament. And what this does, my friends, is that it protects your money, the public's purse, and ensures at all times that there's transparency. Now, it is a little different when you purchase land now for environmental protection. Yeah, because sometimes you will see where government, like the Barkas Beach, like the Owen Island in Little Cayman, they protect wetlands, preserve mangroves. They can also these key areas that mean so much to who we are as Caymanians. And they can also be able to purchase them because you can prove that that piece or parcel of land is safeguarding critical habitats for, let's say, bird species, nesting of turtles, that sort of stuff. And then it could be for the reason because it maintains natural buffers that wouldn't necessarily, if disturbed, flood out communities or bring the oceans onto to our land and causing serious damage, right? And another thing, government can purchase this for the purpose of environmental protection is to prevent overdevelopment in sensitive areas. What was interesting today is that one of the big hangups, and this was played out on Parliament floor with the delay in the extension of the East-West Arterial, was this hydrological study that was needed to show the channeling of water and all that sort of stuff. And I can remember in the discussions today that the Honorable Minister J.E. Banks assured Bodden Town West member that certain culverts were put in place so that one particular area in Lower Valley, because of the extension of this road and the height of the road, it automatically created a basin to land that was already developed, that was residential areas, and that was his concern, whether or not the correct infrastructure was put in place, that it would not end up being a situation that we saw happened to Randite Gardens, where his area is then flooded because of infrastructure development. And this was quite an interesting question because, see you, Harry. Have a good evening. Have a good night. This was one of the questions that bore a lot of a discussion because the environmental impact assessment have different subheadings of things from noise to channeling of water to the hydrological studies and all of that sort of stuff. It's not just one thing. There are multiple things that an environmental impact assessment can do when you want to do a big infrastructure upgrade like this. So to hear the member from Georgetown West ask that question deliberately, I should say, and genuinely probably out of concern, what is to really to reassure the people that he represents that they are promised, if not already in place, the necessary infrastructure, that the heightening of the road does not end up allowing their front backyards, side yards, becoming a natural catch basin with the water having nowhere to go. So I'm quite sure that in time we'll tell how this will be done. And I'm hoping that this improvement of this road works really does not create any problems with stormwater runoff. So it'll be very interesting. But yeah, when you look at these, sometimes when you find government purchasing properties for environmental protections, it is actually to prevent overdevelopment in sensitive areas as well. And we can see what has happened when the proper survey and studies are not done or waited on, what could be a problem. So again, because environmental land in itself, with these land purchases, they're often very urgent because sometimes people nab them up. You got people who have the cash at their disposal that they can have a ones up on the government. We notice that they can be very expensive, especially if your government shows any interest. And what we must do is we must provide evidence that is justified publicly in order for it to be purchased. And it shouldn't be coded, but when explanation is being given, the explanation must be clear and it should be able to highlight the long-term benefits of such purchase. So at the end of the day, that is what all the questionings are about. And when we have all of these questions coming up in finance committee, and then it's approving the funding, it ensures, especially for these environmental protection, is done in a transparent way so that there's no questions can be asked. There is public oversight at all times, and that covers them under our constitutional responsibility as well. When you look then at, I want you to find out, what are you thinking about what's happening? And at the end of the day, when you look at even how you run your household, we know we can just barely make ends meet some months. But think about your own house and how you operate that, okay? Not pinpointing fingers at anyone, but how many of us just make a budget, or you just pay the bills as they come, and you know that some months just ain't have it because you're one flat tire away or a battery away from just having nothing until the next payday. But for all intents and purpose for this discussion, think about your own household. You make a budget in January, but by June, your car breaks down. You see where your kids need additional school supplies. Inflation, there's more than you can think of for the grocery bills. And of course, utility bills increase. You don't throw away the budget that you originally had. You adjust it accordingly to fit the situation, right? You've moved around the money, try to juggle, try to stretch. Maybe you have to cut back on certain things. You make critical decisions, but at least at the end of the day, your household is still able to function. In these settings, government is doing the exact thing. The only difference is it's not their money. It's the public's money. And they must go to Parliament for approval. And that approval is exactly what we saw play out today at around 12:30, Finance Committee. And all it's there to prove and ensure that absolutely no minister can overspend without scrutiny. You may say, oh, try hush. I'm just telling you how it works. No ministry can shift money without the approval, okay? And no new program or programs can be launched without full transparency. No emergency spending either happens in the dark. Of course, there are caveats. Natural disasters, emergency, then there's certain orders, but even under the most emergency cases, there are executive orders that actually allow certain things, but those are put in a pool. Even those people would know when you hear under an executive order, this is why I can do this. Additional money comes from here and there. And then after you deal with damage control, then you have a right to report that back to the people. But right now, it's critical stages. This is what we're going to do. Life in the best interest, keeping everybody safe, and the continuity of operation of your jurisdiction to limit the impact on operation, international reputation as well. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes, but it's not done in isolation, and no one individual holds the checkbook. There are checks and balances, and that is why you're a part of it. You asked for transparency, and these things are put in place. And a lot of you don't tune in. A lot of you may seem that it's boring unless or until something comes out and then there's like, where did that come from? If you don't invest in tuning into these things, you're playing catch up, and sometimes it'll never make sense. And then you run off with what you probably hear other people saying, and you don't even have the full facts or context or historical information, but yet you're making a judgment. And this is why I take the time to explain certain things so that you understand the terminology. You can go and research it for yourself, hoping that when you do tune in, you will hear and understand the terms, and it's easier. Maybe it sparks your interest even more to pay more attention. And if there ever time that your elected official comes around, you may remember something that you may have heard in the public that's being discussed on the floor of Parliament or from one of the episodes. You can ask the questions and you would be in a better informed position to make that decision or to be more confident in asking your questions, because it does matter. This is not an individual's minister's money to spend on their own without scrutiny. No, that's irresponsible. It's reckless and it's outright illegal. Yeah, they can't do that without scrutiny, because what it's doing with all of these protections in place is that it's protecting you. It protects accountability and it protects the trust and reputation of the government as well. And my dear, I can tell you all, this is one of the strongest safeguards in our Constitution that we have in order to protect our people. So when you look at it in its overall, we have a lot to be thankful for how things are structured here. And I am hoping that one episode at a time, even if sometimes it appears to be repetitive, that a lot of you will have a better understanding and knowledge of how the inner workings and how these different committees function in the day-to-day operations of our government. So the end result of that is that I hope that, because as I said, I didn't get to watch the entire thing, that they received overall approval for all of the appropriations from Finance Committee, so that we can continue to go on, and that all of the questions were answered to the satisfactory of the opposition, so that they in turn now, it is their responsibility now to also go back and in their own way address their constituents, like the question Mr. Roy Tatum asked about the roads in Red Bay. It is up to him, however, he communicates with his constituents to give an update to his constituents of when, or any idea of when those roads could be addressed. And that is a way of keeping open communication with your constituents, and don't just leave it to chance that everybody is just going to be tuned into these meetings or these live committee meetings, because you have a responsibility as their elected representative to always update them. And the mere fact that he had the opportunity to speak on this there and was specific about his roads and other things that he brought up is a clear sign that, one, it's on record, and he can give true updates to his people how quickly he can, and at least give them some sort of hope that it's being addressed. So I hope that you were able to understand or get a better understanding of what Finance Committee is, why it exists, why it is happening now, 6 months in to this government's new budget. And we're seeing in some cases double, if not double and a half, additional funding to certain line items is being done. And I hope that they were able to be justified to say why and why it's happening. And also in regards to land purchases that are often requires this approval, that you were able to get a better insight, even though blocks and parcels, where what was made clear though by the minister is that these purchases of land, whether closing deals or new purchases, were scattered all over the island. It was Cayman, Little Cayman, and all over Grand Cayman, different areas. So I'm quite sure we will hear these updates in the future. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I'm hoping that you were able to get some semblance, some idea of what that means, and that you have a better understanding as well as to where your money is going, even though you may not have agreed, or you're like questioning, why now? Why 6 months after? Why are we doing this now? So I'm really hoping that that in itself will clear the air for you. The phone lines are open, 936-8255. If you want to join in on this conversation, I would love to hear back from you, or maybe there's something that is bothering you and you would like to just hear it. You need to get something out. We would love to hear from you, because I love to get your feedback as well. So that is where we are in regards to that part of this segment of Sabrina Speaks. I see where Harry is gone, and we go back to just, we're going to make this a free flow segment here on Sabrina Speaks, and I want to hear your feedback. If you are appreciating what I'm delivering here, I always like to get your feedback. I would appreciate you coming back to me with some sort of semblance, so that I know what I'm doing here is meeting your satisfaction. Because at the end of the day, we're going to be having guests, and we share that with you. We're going to be having guests and talking more about what is in store, what's coming online, and all that sort of stuff. So it's not going to be just every day me coming at you with certain things. No, that is not it at all. I'm going to be having guests. We're going to continue to learn here, and we're going to keep you up to date with all that's going on. Now, I saw where, let me see, this seismic research from this center in Trinidad. I don't know if you guys saw it. I don't have the YouTube video, though. That's sad. That I could share here with you. It was a part of the news segment that I shared here with you today, where they provided additional accounts of what happened in Trinidad. I wonder if I can find the image for you to show you the power of Mother Nature and what it has done there with their shoreline. What is coming out of Trinidad just yesterday, and I'm thinking this was only discovered by people over the weekend, and it's now making headlines all over the place, because what they're saying right now is that this image that I have up on the screen was pushed up, was once water that was underwater. So what you're seeing here in this picture that's in the middle of your screen is new land that was formed, and they're linking it, to be confirmed, to the twin earthquakes that happened last week. And what is being said is that this particular coastline of Trinidad is very close to Venezuela. And they're feeling that when that earthquake, those two earthquakes hit, when they struck, that the ripple effects caused somewhat of a landslide. And the front of it, you got the back, the middle, and the foot. The head, the middle, and the tail. The tail didn't move, but the top kept coming down as a landslide. And what happened? The pressure built, and then boom, up from the earth, created new land. And yeah, this is interesting how this all unfold. Now, of course, there are some serious cracks, or I guess you would call them caverns, into the earth. This area is known for mud. It's mud, like many mud volcanoes. It's volcanic, and they're cautioning residents, as tempting as it could be, because this is something new that they have seen, but they're assuming and speculating that this came up out of the sea when those twin earthquakes took place last week. So the power of Mother Nature, I am telling you. And if I'm not mistaken, earlier on today, I think there was, whether they're labeling it as a aftershock or another earthquake, there was a 6.0 that shook off the coast of Venezuela again today. And that has proven to be continued to hamper recovery efforts of persons. Now, we understand, as I digressed a little bit, that the recovery efforts, that window of opportunity is narrowing, but the people are working continuously through the night, making sure that they're looking for their loved ones during this time. But what is really making headlines right now within the region is this new landmass that was discovered in Trinidad. And they're assuming right now that until all of the final findings come out, that what we're looking at here in this image was once underwater. That's now been pushed up and has created land. Now, whether or not it would stay, whether or not eventually Mother Nature will take it back, we don't know. And that's where the geologists and the seismologists and all of these peopleologists, they're going to be looking at that area, doing their soil sampling, doing their testing. Maybe they have to dig deep as well. They may have to dig deep and see exactly what's going on to see the stability of that. Now, one would say, if that's adjacent to, let's say, government-owned property, who would own that land? Very interesting question, isn't it? Because if it wasn't there before, it would be interesting to find out who would now own that land. If it's already privately owned or attached to somebody's boundaries, does their footprint expand? That'll be very interesting. We have a caller. Good evening, caller. You're live on Sabrina Speaks. What's on your mind?
Good evening, Miss Sabrina, and good evening, Cayman.
Hello.
I'm doing well. I trust you're doing well with your family, and Cayman is doing well.
I'm doing my best.
And yeah, that's all we can do, one day at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope everyone is trying their best to stay hydrated, because this heat is not here yet. Summer is not here yet officially. So there we go. Two things real quick. Global warming, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if most Caymanians or if most residents in Cayman aren't aware that our actions, I guess I keep saying this, we are all responsible for our own actions. We're all responsible for what we do and what little bit we don't do. And we have to realize that global warming affects every one of us. And I'm going to call one name this evening, the Honorable Miss Mia Amor Motley, the Prime Minister of Barbados.
Mm-hmm.
She is someone who has brought to the forefront, as she calls it, we are not the cause of global warming, although we're contributing to it.
Mm-hmm.
The Caribbean region is small, but we are contributing to it.
Mm-hmm.
It is the developed nations that are, and they don't seem to care about, as she states it, the developing or the developed island nations throughout the world. There are places in this world that people don't know here in Cayman that within a couple of years' time, some islands will be gone. I've watched on YouTube where a certain island, is almost gone, and they've had to
seawater rising.
They've just had to tell the people, you cannot live here any longer. We have to put you on another island. We got to resettle you. There's no choice.
Mm-hmm.
If we think that we sit here in the Caribbean, and if most people don't know, I keep saying, we are in a ring of fire in the Caribbean. Why do you think Haiti has had so many earthquakes over the years? You go back to the famous earthquake of Port Royal.
Mm-hmm.
We are sitting between three fault lines. At some point, something is going to rattle again in this region, because they have said the big one is here to come. It is not about fear-mongering. It is about how the world and how the environment works. And if we continually destroy parts of the environment and we kill out certain things, they all have a negative effect on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Just like humans are creating fossil fuels, we're burning fossil fuels. You go to electric cars, it's a different story, because then you got to recycle the batteries and the chemicals in them. So that's a different story, even though it is more cleaner for the environment, they are downfalls still. But getting back to Cayman, we sit in a ring of fire, and constantly we look, and the iron shore has been changed in Grand Cayman. I don't know how much more they're going to intend to build on it, but I keep saying this. If the sea rises up from an earthquake, God forbid it happens in this region, and the tsunami waves or the tidal waves, as we call them when we were children, come, where are we going to go when the Iron Shore was put there to protect the coastline and to protect us? Because things can shift, things can happen. And where do you run? There's no place to run when a 50-foot wave is coming into Cayman. Where are we going to run?
To
You
be
think
honest,
Cayman Airways can, think Cayman Airways can evacuate all of us to the back?
no, they can't. But
No.
just a correction. We're not
Uh-huh.
sitting on the Ring of Fire. That's more Asia.
No, we're not sitting on it, but we are surrounded. There's three fault lines around
Yeah,
us.
we are on a seismic plate.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
it's when they shift, just like they shifted before, that the Iron Shore was under the sea,
Mhm.
and it's now looking at us to protect us. I don't understand the logic between planning here, where everybody wants to build, and I keep going to the northwest point coast of West Bay. It all started, as far as I remember, when the madness became what is now the Cayman Turtle Center.
Mhm.
Look at the parking lot. And then you gave a right of way for the next big development, which was a restaurant that did the same very thing.
Mhm.
And then everything on that coast has continued in the same area. And it's just, you have lost your coastline, you've lost your protection, we have lost everything. And if the sea level rises, where are we going to go? Because what? You're going to put it. You got condos on the sea. When the water rises, where are they going to go? They're going to have to come inland, right?
Mhm.
So, if people think that global warming, just you talk about it, and until you see stuff happening, there's a couple stretches of land left on Northwest Point Road that you can just look to see the ocean. Everything else has been just destroyed. I'm sorry, that's the only word I have for it. And we have to do a better part of protecting what little bit of coastline we have left. It does not need to be built on. It needs to be protected.
Mhm.
So I'm calling for protection for what is left, because we got to do more, because anything can happen here at any time.
Well, did you hear today in the Parliament sitting that the Honourable Minister J.E. Banks has secured some money, from what I understood, to purchase the whole tip of Barcus?
No, I haven't gotten that far, but I applaud them, because we needed to spend. I think that if that is what is happening, that sends a very loud, clear message to developers. We can balance what we need to balance here, but we have to do it now. It's not about waiting and kicking all of these proverbial cans like we talk about down the road for the next one to come in to do. Changes have to come, Miss Sabrina, and they're hard for all of us to accept, but we have to try to save some little bit that is left, that is called Cayman. Because if Cayman goes bankrupt and people leave here, we are left with what we have to deal with. We got to live with it. You'll have all the condos you can go in to live with, but who can afford to live in them condos by the sea? Caymanians can't.
You'd also be happy to hear that the Cayman Islands government is also one of 3 owners of Owen Island.
Yeah. And I, if you have never, Mr. Sabrina, I know you said you probably never went there or been on it.
I've never been on it, no.
Just go there. Just go there and enjoy the day if you get that.
Wow.
Don't even if you get that chance.
I have
just
to
go and do it.
I have to.
And do it responsibly.
Yeah.
And leave it the way you found it. Because I have been there a few times, and it is just magical to sit there and to look at Little Cayman. Honestly, it's just magical. And you go, oh, I just came across from the condo years ago when we went. We just came across on kayak. It was about 6-7 minutes, and we were there, and we left it the way we found it.
Right.
But another thing is, if we listen today, and I hope Cayman listens, and I hope they listen, and I hope the government listens today. I only got as far. I got to where I hear, we have told you so by some. And what that means is we hear about what the last the last part of Finance Committee, because I caught it at the end, it was dealing with the Cayman Areas request for extra funding, okay? So let me just leave Cayman with this and the government with this. If the government has to go and approve a supplementary amount of $13.1 million to keep the national airline, I don't know what it's all for, but let's say it's for keeping it running because they've come and asked for more money. Because the minister, I believe Mr. Ruddy, said, we did not budget for this. Diesel or whatever aviation fuel has gone up by $2 more. It's doubled then, okay? And it's gone up by 83%, okay? That is just for the national flag carrier to put fuel, I guess, aviation fuel in the planes to run them and the operational cost that comes with it. That is $13.1 million that nobody expected we were going to have to spend here, okay? But then if that is the cost to keep the national flag carrier of these islands running for how long, I don't know how long it is. I'm not finished listening to it, and I have to this evening, God's willing. But then you think about if that's the pressure on our national flag carrier.
That's only one.
That's one pressure is on. What pressure is on the average Caymanian that is already struggling, that's a family or a single parent. But not only that, the person's relying, I'm going to go there because it needs to be brought up because people's benefits that they rely on keep getting cut by the DFA and the Ministry of Social Development. Something is going to have to be done for the government to offset things that people need. Because if you're cutting long-term financial assistance, people that have nothing for whatever reason, they don't have anything, and you are their only source of income. You cannot continue just because rent continually goes up in this country. You cannot use that as excuses towards people to tell them they can't be able to eat food and be able to live with what they need to live with. You cannot keep cutting their financial assistance because rent has increased. You can't keep doing that because they'll end up with nothing in the end. So like the opposition has said, something has to be done because the Caymanians are hurting. So yes, the government's put the fuel surcharge, but that is just a dip in the bucket. So when you go to Foster's, you might be saving $4 or $5 a week for gas, but you might need $15 or $20 worth of items and you don't have that other $15, then what do? You, your household, and your children have to do without. And a lot on financial assistance have nothing left. And they are elderly, they are seniors, and we all could get to the point, Ms. Sabrina, where we don't have nothing. And if, like, I think it was Mr. Bryan or one of them said, the financial assistance that government is given, it's not linked to inflation, and it needs to be linked. You cannot continually assess someone every year and cut their benefit because you got to pay more for rent. It just doesn't work it doesn't work no more for most people on long-term financial assistance. And I am here today as a mouth to tell the government people on long-term financial assistance are hurting. There are people that have to go without things that they need to eat. And it's not right because some of them are our seniors, and it's just not right to have a system just because it's maxed out for rent for an individual, that you are going to cut their financial assistance to balance whatever you think needs to be balanced when it is something you have taken an example or say you took $150 off of the $1,500. Where are they going to get the $150 to put back in?
The differential.
Where are they going to get it? Because you keep telling people, oh, you can't have an excess of $300, but you're cutting people's stuff. But that does not work anymore. So the government and the minister needs to go and look at it, because I am here to tell you, people are hurting out here. And you hear this thing about, oh, this and that, but government has to do everything. When life happens for some people and they don't have a choice, the government through the DFA is their only choice. And we already know the reputation that department has. who they want to help when they want to help or not. So the government, I'm sorry, cannot keep continually telling these people at DFA to cut people's benefits. People have to live in this country, and I'm going to leave it there, and in the hope that they will understand that you are cutting benefits to balance a budget, yes, but then what else is going to happen when people got to come running more people come running to DFAs? Then what's going to happen? You're going to have to come back for supplementary budgets again and supplementary appropriations, because it's probably going to happen this year again. Because, hey, we are only at the start of hurricane season. I keep reiterating this to Cayman in general, not just to my Caymanians, to Cayman in general. The government has said many times before, and the previous government, we are only one natural disaster or one man-made disaster from bankruptcy. If you think $750 million in the bank can last you, make a Hurricane Ivan or Hurricane Ivan brother or sister threaten or come here this year. We would all be so all of us has to live here, Miss Sabrina, but I don't understand the arm of the government called the DFA and the Ministry of Social Development. And sometimes I really don't understand the health ministry on a whole, because what they are there to do is to ensure persons who don't have nothing are able to access health care and housing and food. And if you continually going to tell people we're going to cut your benefit when you have nothing, then where does that leave the average Caymanian that is struggling right now? Because $1,500 NCFC government just don't do it no more. I am sorry. And the poor people of Cayman deserve better. Okay? I'm sorry. Because we keep kicking these cans down the road for housing. How many more years are we going to kick it down the road for housing? You're continually paying money for persons to live in this country from rentals, but yet you're not doing anything to push forward and speed up. You all building some rentals so that you can put persons that are on long-term financial assistance on, so you can free up that money and help some of the Caymanians that might need it tomorrow, because we don't know where our lives will be tomorrow. So to the NCFC government, these are my words. The $1,500 financial assistance that long-term financial assistance persons are receiving, don't cut it no more. You need to go back and retroactively pay it from January this year, and you need to do it because people are struggling, and you need to increase it somehow with inflation, because phosphorus prices every day and Kirk and Hurley are going up every day, and gasoline is still almost $6-7 and more a imperial gallon. So what is the poor person supposed to do?
We're in overtime.
Yes, we leave it there, and we thank you, and you say, ask how you're doing. Excuse me, how you're doing. You are bringing voices like mine that some people don't want to hear the truth. The truth has to be told sometime.
True.
People are suffering out there, and you're doing a job that most people, Miss Sabrina, would not get there and be put as a batting post and hear this or hear that, but you're bringing voices to the voices that want to speak on issues that this country needs to address. And I thank you, and I thank Ms. Sandra always for what all you do.
Thank you.
God bless, and we will talk more Friday if I'm still around.
Oh,
I got a topic. I got a topic about the 2026 World Peace Survey that was done. Now that's very interesting. Have a great evening.
Likewise, my
God
dear.
bless.
Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. And something came to mind when the caller was speaking about global warming and all this sort of stuff. And I bumped into this, where there is a coal blob. Scientists are saying that they've detected a deeply alarming coal spot at the bottom of the ocean. What that means. And I did some research on it, and it's called AMOC. And what this means is that I'm going to try to do this, but we can break this down in even simplistic terms and what it could mean for our weather patterns here in the Caribbean if that continues to stay there. And even though it's to heck up by Greenland, with the way of the tides and how the whole tides go and the currents, that impacts weather. And we can actually be impacted by that all the way up top here on the top of the screen. I'll go into a little bit more of that. If not tomorrow, definitely on Thursday with you, because you would be surprised exactly what impact that is having on even the weather that we're feeling right now. And this El Nino and La Nina effect, they have been studying this cold blob for quite some time, and now the data is in and what it means. But all of these currents, and if you see the currents that is running through the Caribbean to North America and comes back around, all of that impacts weather. Yes, the temperatures of the sea and all of that. So you know what? That's going to be something that we're going to come in full discussion with. I've done the research, I've gotten it, and I can explain that to you in layman's terms, and it'll all going to make sense when you tie it into this El Nino, the heat wave that we're going through, and all of that sort of stuff, all tied to one blob off of Greenland. It has been a pleasure bringing you another episode of Sabrina Speaks right here on the CMR platform here this evening. Looking forward for another informative, very engaging conversation tomorrow. Etiquette. Yeah, etiquette. I'll tell you more, but you got to like and follow so that you don't miss an episode. So I'll see you tomorrow. Good evening. Please be safe on the road. God bless. Love you lots. And thank you for always showing up. See you tomorrow.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, K-Man, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.